I've been always like geeking out on astrology and also on the moon transits. And one of the reasons I love talking about the moon, whether it's a new moon or the full moon, because those portals, they really help us fine tune our timing. You know, the number one thing that I often hear from people, Katerina, your timing is impeccable. Thank you for sending me this. Thank you for sending me that. And I often get this. Your timing is impeccable. So how do you make sure that your timing is impeccable? We begin to return to the rhythm of the nature, to the cycles of the nature. And if you are an entrepreneur like me, if you have your own business or you have a dream that you wake up every single day and you weave a thread of progress and creativity into your dream, this experience of your timing becoming more and more precise is huge, because then you can offer your creations into the world with the right timing. You can retrieve from the world and nourish yourself, and that's also right timing, right? So very, very powerful. I pay attention to all of these transits, and I also wanted to share with you how I recently began to understand astrology even deeper. So, Patty and Joseph, thank you so much for joining me. And I wanted to share with you, beloveds, that tomorrow we have the new moon in Gemini and the solar eclipse. And just a little bit about eclipses. I began, became, I began to be super fascinated by eclipses when I learned that they propel our soul destiny. They kind of accelerator points, right? And usually we have 4 to 5 eclipses a year, sometimes more, right? And they are kind of like a supercharged lunar energy. I like to call them portals. So the eclipse and lunar eclipse, we just had it a couple of weeks ago on the last full moon, was all about illuminating our inner world, right? Dave Camp has joined. Yes, so good to see you. Solar eclipse is all about how do you choose to be seen in the world. So if a new moon is a new page, you can decide and attune yourself. Okay, tomorrow is a blank stage. Solar eclipse is all about my expression, my voice, my visibility in the world, right? Me as an inner sun, you as an inner sun. How do I want to be seen, witnessed, expressed? How do I want to express my soul in a public way? So on a solar eclipse, I focus on expression. I focus on unlocking a more courageous voice. I sit and I ask myself, what is the message that I'm on fire to bring forward? Or if I love the message that I share, what is the new layer that I can bring forward? I can activate, I can really reveal a new perspective of that message, right? So expression, your message, your even how you look, right? How do you desire to be seen? How do you desire to reveal yourself? The most beautiful thing, one of the most so many beautiful things, that you can reinvent yourself every single day. And there is such a magic in reinvention, right? So we are never static. We are energy beings. We're always in motion. We always elevate, change, expand, transform, right? So then let's notice what kind of sign this eclipse is in. It's in the sign of Gemini. And the Gemini, kind of like the the challenge of this sign is this pressure of doing everything at once. I know when I'm in the Gemini season, I feel like my to-do list becomes endless. And there's so many exciting projects that I love, and I want to attack them ferociously and like work on all of them until the end of the night. Gemini energy. Gemini energy, you think you have 4 arms, two energies, right? And so in this theme, I just invite you to to become attuned to yourself and ask yourself, am I doing too much? Are all of those actions that I'm frantically or excitingly engaged, do they give me the results that you desire, or do they exhaust me? So with the Gemini energy, really listening to your inner child. What does your inner child desires? Like I just changed my webinar time. I was thinking about doing a webinar on Sunday, and I was all excited about it. I created the schedule, announced it, and then at the end of the night, I just feel my inner child is not happy. So I ask my inner child, I'm like, why are you not happy? And my inner child says, I don't want to teach on Sunday. I don't want to be in service on Sunday. I want to have this Sunday for myself. That's the inner conversation I have with my inner child. So I listened and I said, you know what? My inner child is right, because my inner child is in charge of my creativity, right? And I said, I'm gonna listen to you. We can move the webinar for Wednesday. And Sunday, I'm going to take you to a playground and we're going to do something fun and we're going to laugh. Maybe we'll watch a comedy together, and maybe we'll go have amazing like smoothie and have some beach time, right? So I began to look at astrology, beloveds, as a very powerful monthly themes that we can attune to, right? So for example, there's 12 different signs in a year. Each month you will feel the energy of that different sign. Hi Ronald, so good to see you. So, for example, we are in the Gemini, it's a Gemini season. And a Gemini is a social butterfly. It wants to express, connect, it wants to socialize, it wants to play, it wants to engage in a highly stimulating conversations, it wants to learn, it wants to teach, it wants to do all of it. So, and then we are transitioning to Cancer season, which is July. So, when you start becoming aware of that, notice what happens in July. July is my sabbatical. I go internal, right? And I go and I connect with my inner home. And I am looking inside of my heart, inside of my soul. I want to be in nature, I want to be in listening. And then August come, it's a Leo season, right? So we all may feel like a deep call to show up in our leadership in a more bold, Leo like way, with flair and creativity and without apology. And then September comes, we have Virgo season, and the Virgo season says, we played and we had fun and we nurtured our soul. Let's build stuff, right? So that's going to be September. We'll feel like let's build. So that's how I begin to navigate my entire wheel of the year, by paying attention. What is this month is about? What kind of sign it is? What are the highest possibilities of that sign? And what are the biggest traps? Like with Gemini, where you can feel the pressure of being everywhere and doing 20 different projects all at once and just becoming exhausted. So when the Cancer season comes in July, you just like collapse, right? We don't need the collapse. We can just say, how can I make sure that I express this delicious creativity that I have, but I also pace myself and I find my rhythm. So the new moon, what are you choosing to intend when it comes to your expression, your soul destiny? Really, solar eclipse is all about your soul destiny, and asking yourself questions for contemplation. Like, do I feel I am living my true soul destiny? And if yes, then how can I express my soul destiny in a much bigger, bolder, solar way, with more generosity, with more consistency, with more visibility? And if the answer is, I don't know what my soul destiny is, Katerina, I'm still searching for it, right? I'm looking for it, then that would be a great time for you to hold this intention as, may I will accelerate to the path of my true soul destiny. May, like asking your guides, asking the support in your life, please accelerate my life to the true soul destiny. Yeah. So Joseph, hi Joseph. Joseph says, what about Sagittarius? Oh, I love Sagittarius energy. So Sagittarius energy will come to us at the end of November, but mostly it's December. Sagittarius is all about truth. Sagittarius says, let's philosophize, let's talk about truth, let's adventure together, right? That's the Sagittarius energy. It's also leadership, it's truth, it's adventure, it's really Sagittarius is a philosopher. So having a deep philosophical talks in December feels really, really good, right? So, another process that I do every single year, especially right about now at the end of June, I started doing this process that I call mid year review. And I take one of those big sheets of paper and I write down everything that I am inspired by that happened in the last 6 months, right? All of the creations, all of the experiences, and all the shifts of my consciousness. A lot of times, in the past, I would only track my wins or my creations or like products that I built, with my own mind. Now I really take the time, I take a whole day where I review my journals and I write down, well, what are the biggest shifts of consciousness? How do I see the world differently? How do I interact differently? Right? And it can be so fulfilling for you because as humans, we move through our experiences so fast that sometimes we don't slow down to take a look back and you say, let me contemplate my own growth. Let me ask myself a question. How am I different right now? What has changed? And what experiences shaped my consciousness? And am I inspired how the last 6 months have been? Because right now we are approaching right middle of this year and energy of 2021. If some of you remember, because I love hosting live streams every beginning of the year, fusing the wisdom of numerology and astrology, kind of like to give a taste and a flavor of the year ahead. So the year 2021 is the year 5, which is all about change, right? Unexpected change, freedom, travel, new experiences, new people, new ways of discovering yourself, right? Lots of experimentation, lots of moving around, and this energy is very fast. So for me, I personally remind myself throughout this entire year to stay aware of how deeply rooted or anchored I am every single day because the energy is moving so fast. It's almost like this year is rich with so many opportunities, right? This year, I've received so many invitations to be a part of this project, that project, to be a part of this summit, this interview. It's just like a cascade of opportunities. And if I say yes to all of them, where is wisdom? There is no wisdom in that. So when we anchor in our stillness and really listen, what opportunity is correct for me right now? Or what opportunity, no matter how good and exciting and delicious it feels, it's not a time for it. And if I add one more thing to my plate, I will collapse, right? So being really wise and discerning, what do you say yes to? And practicing your sacred no. Your no is just as sacred as your yes. And opportunities will keep on coming, right? If you keep showing up in your leadership and your service and your generosity and sharing your gifts, if you add a genuine value to your community, you will never run out of opportunities. They will keep on coming, right? So you become more and more discerning and you say, where is my balance between service to humanity and making sure that I am fulfilled, making sure I am taken care of. So that's where the inner child comes in, beloveds. I am no shy. If I feel I get to reschedule things and I move things to create more spaciousness for myself, to make sure that my inner child is happy, right? Because if your inner child is not happy, if your inner child needs have been ignored in the name of achieving a goal, that inner child begins to what? Throw a tantrum. And it looks like a sabotage behaviors. It looks like, whoa, where's that addiction came from? Whoa, where's that accident came from? Whoa, where's the drama came from? Well, you look inside your inner world. What is happening on the inner world that is reflecting on your external world? External world is a mirror of what's happening within. And oftentimes, beloveds, we live in such artificial time and artificial pressure of constantly produce, constantly rush, constantly move ahead, right? That the part of us that I call inner child, our creative essence, that needs integration, that needs solitude, that needs rest, that needs a good quality of sleep, if that part of us is suppressed or ignored or are shuffled aside for the name of even our mission to humanity, that part of us will rebel. And how it looks like, it's our unconscious is trying to get our attention. So we return to harmony. You see, everything happens in our lives. That's what I'm realizing. If we really live intentionally, if we desire to live from our soul, if we desire to be guided by spirit, then we can remember that this is a benevolent universe, and everything that is unfolding in our lives is unfolding for one reason: to help us establish a deeper and sustainable harmony in our lives, right? So everything that shows up, even what it looks like a great disruption or a great pivot or a great unexpected event, if you live guided by your soul, if your prayer is to see the truth that is unfolding in your life, you can count that the universe begins to cooperate with you. It begins to show you how it's trying to get your attention to return you back to harmony, right? So in that, I always find my deep trust and my deep freedom as well. Let me know if you have any questions. I love spending this time with you. Yeah, we have the astrology lovers. Astrology is a great science that came to us from where? From our great ancestors of Atlantis. You know, the Atlantean priests and kings were the great masters of understanding the movement of the stars. And they would say, when we understand the movement and the energies and the unique properties of each planet, we begin to understand ourselves. Because if everything is one, the law of one, if universe is one single being, experiences itself in many different forms, doesn't it make sense that we are affected by the moon? Doesn't it make sense that what Jupiter is doing directly impacts us? Of course, right? So we understand when we learn to develop this passionate curiosity about these great giants in our solar system, these great planets that each have a soul essence, right? But it's more for another metaphysical time. I can get carried away in these topics of the planets. All this to say, darlings, tomorrow, how do you ritualize this portal? I love rituals. I love rituals. We are tribal beings at the very core of who we are. When we trace back our roots, right, where we came from, and how our ancestors used the power of ritual to communicate with nature, to send a very powerful signs to nature beings, right? So when we use a ritual, it's kind of like an interface between our visible world and the invisible world. So I became very devotional with ritualizing every full moon and every new moon, right? And it's almost like you take your intention, which can only be like on a mental level, and you take your intention and you transfer it into a process that it's called a ritual. And it could be as simple as writing down who you're choosing to become, right? That's a part of the ritual. You know, I have this vision that I created all the way in the beginning of my year. And where it lives on my devotional altar. So every morning when I set my when I say my prayers and I say my intentions and I do I meditate, right? I connect with my soul. I see my vision for 2021 every single day. Do you think it anchors me into what it's important? You bet. So I always recommend, you know, to do not rely just on the mental idea, oh, I'm going to set my intentions. And then in a minute, you're distracted by the demands of your life. When you create a ritual, you make these things real for you. You communicate to the invisible world, hey, I'm really committed. This is what I'm choosing to expand, if from my expression, from my creativity, from my experience. And when you write it down, right, all of those studies about how our subconscious mind is activated when we write something down, your subconscious mind begins to say, oh, she's writing down, she's really committed, right? And then you activate your visual perception every time you see your vision on the paper by your altar, right? So that's the power of the new moon and the full moon. So if you write down all of the qualities that you desire to develop, to express, to bring into visibility, and all of the experiences that you desire to have, right? Do you desire to have more adventure? Do you desire to have more spaciousness? Do you desire to have more beauty in your life? Write it down and begin to hold that field of attention. Begin to follow it, begin to create it, because you matter, because it's possible for you, because you're so fully deserving of it. And if you don't create it, nobody's gonna do it for you. So this is the definition of freedom. That is such a key vibration of year 5. Okay, I thought I disappeared. I'm still here. There's such a powerful vibration of the year 5, right, beloveds? It's a freedom. So freedom of making congruent sovereign choice. That is a true freedom. Whatever you desire to have, to experience, to become, create it. And you create it by first becoming really intentional, right? We're not living our life by default, or just like putting out fires and meeting our every morning, just meeting our life disheveled and totally stressed out about what's coming next, like a train towards us. You get up an hour early and you begin to attune yourself. Who am I desiring to become? What do I desire to create? How do I desire to move through my reality? What would it look like to create a much deeper harmony and beauty in my life, right? And then you write it down, and that becomes your new rhythm. It becomes your new practice. It becomes your anchoring process. I promise you, if you choose to practice this, you will see an incredible shift and a very fast shifts, because the universe is been waiting, always ready to talk to you. And when we create these rituals, we begin to have a conversation with the universe, right? With this quantum field. It's a beautiful mirror of what's happening within us. On that note, Gustavo, he says, love your presence. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you, darling. Take a look at this tiger, a tiger orchid that I received as a gift from the masculine, from the caretaker of this land that I live, and it's still blooming. And it has a dragonfly, right? Look at this dragonfly, which is a symbol of transformation. So this is my share for you tomorrow. Create the time for yourself and for this process, because you matter, you're important, you so deserve to create this for you, right, darlings? And then I teach a webinar next Wednesday, and it's going to be a business mastery webinar. I'll share with you how I create immersions, how I diversify my channels of contribution, and how every single year I create my own economy. And no matter what is happening on the outside, I become more and more sovereign in my business. So I love simplicity in how I approach business world. I don't like complexity. I don't like running around like a chicken with my head cut off, right? That is just not my thing. Like taking very intentional, precise steps that bring greater spaciousness, greater simplicity, greater abundance, and working only with clients that I adore, that light me up, whose mission I deeply believe in. And there's a great diversity, there's a strength in diversity, right? So when you have several ways that you can serve the world can uh, can hire you in several different ways, right? Not just one. So that's what's going to be on the webinar on next Wednesday. You can sign up. It's going to be at 11 o'clock. And it's going to be the last one before I go to my sabbatical in Peru. I know I'm talking about it because I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be on that land, darlings. And I'm gonna be, I'm excited to walk those beautiful, majestic hikes and listen to the wind. And when you come to to a place for the first time, everything is so fresh. Everything is just you're like a child, like looking around. Everything is so fresh. So I've never been to Peru, and I'm very excited because I feel so supported. I've got so many connections, recommendations, places to stay, places to eat. Just feel so supported and so grateful for that. And yeah, and there's gonna be a beautiful, beautiful time. So beloveds, it's a powerful time tomorrow, and I'm just so happy to spend this time with you. Oh, thank you, beautiful Ion. He says you are the archer with her arrow in intentful mastery, and you, my darling, you're the most exquisite poet with your words. Truly, when I read your comments every time, I'm like, that's poetry, just poetry. I love sharing this time with you. Thank you so much for being a part of my community. And I hope that we return to the wisdom of the ancient ancestors and we begin to lean on the wisdom of the moon, the wisdom of the eclipses, the wisdom of summer solstice that is coming in June, right? June 21st, some part of that. So we begin to orient ourselves to these great portals and we begin to find the joy of the rhythm of nature. And when we move with the rhythm of nature, we begin to live harmoniously. We begin to create the most authentic and sustainable creations. And we begin to emanate the most beautiful, harmonious vibration, which contributes to the healing of the world. On this note, I love you. If you'd like to connect with me, I have a website, easy to remember, katerinasatori.com. I'm also on Instagram and YouTube. So leave a comment, check out my website, see what's there, and definitely come to the webinar which I'm hosting next week on Wednesday. Those are always fun and they're always value packed. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I love you.